Welcome to Dental Nachos CE on TV. This is such a special treat for me. I have my amazing friend, Dr. Maggie, who's starting in a minute, but I want to start with gratitude. Maggie, I don't know if you know, but you sent me this mug during the pandemic. Be kind, be bold, be you. And I love it. I use it quite often. I want to thank you. You're a top nacho gift giver. You just sent our family gifts, so I truly appreciate your friendship. I'm inspired by what you teach the dental world. I'm going to let you share with the audience what you're going to teach tonight. Then at the end, we'll do some Q&A, chat with you. So pleased to have you here. Also sponsored by Group Ups and DHP. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to talk to them at the end. So my nacho audience here, we have lots of people streaming in. This is awesome. What is the favorite price of all dentists, Maggie? We know it is free 99, so you can get free CE for watching in. Go to the chat. My team is going to tell you how to get the registration link. There will also be something at the end. During the presentation, you can ask questions. Maggie, if you see me pop back on, it means I think I should ask the question now. If not, we will save it till the end. So I'm going to turn over to you. Lie to me, the destructive nature of self-comparison. I love this topic. I'm looking forward to learning, and I'll be back on at the end to answer some questions. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It is time to fly. So I believe it is, Wednesday night these days, and kids have probably gone back to school, and we are back in the swing of things. And life gets real, and life gets hard, and life gets beautiful, too. And today's lecture is going to be about stepping away from these really difficult moments that sometimes we're facing and moving into a little bit of light that can make life easier and can hopefully find some laughter and joy and gratitude and all those things that we say that we live for. There's going to be a 5-step way to bring that into our lives. But let me start with some disclosures. And I do have a financial interest in Group Ups, which is one of the sponsors. I have no relationships to DHP. And then you can kind of read the rest. There's commercial support provided. We thank both DHP and Group Ups for allowing us to have this platform, have this voice, and teach you and be in community with you on how to make dentisting, how to make it less about crying and more about light and laughter. And so I want to start with this story, and this is me and my husband. My husband and I have been together for over 27 years, and I know that's really hard to believe because I look like I'm about 36 years old. That is not the case, and Scott has been there for me through the thick and thin. And we have a very unique relationship where we are not extraordinary gift givers. When it comes to buying something for one another or together, we don't surprise each other with gifts. We talk about it. And if he wants something that's big, we talk about it and we purchase it together. And if I want something that's big, we talk about it and we purchase it together. And so many times the way that we exchange gifts and celebrate our relationship is like this. We are a Lego family. So if you look around our house, what you're going to find is a whole lot of Legos. This is some flowers that my husband bought for me. And guess what? They never die. And this is actually my living room. And what you'll see is a whole lot of Legos, right? Yeah, and Scott is a Star Wars fan. And so this is what our house is filled with. So my daughter grew up putting together Legos, and then this is what we continue doing. And so this is some close-ups of those, our Legos. And then do you know that dining room in your house that you never use? Well, this is our dining room, and my husband is putting together something from Star Wars, which I'm not entirely familiar about, but this has looked like that for a couple of years because there's many moving parts. And this is something that I got very recently for one of my birthdays, and I'm an author, and so he bought me this typewriter, and it actually works, and it's a Lego typewriter. A few Christmases ago, a birthday before that Christmas, I was contemplating purchasing something pretty significant for myself. And whenever it comes to spending like $1,000 of myself, I literally go back and consider my entire existence. Is this something that I should purchase? What else could I do with my money? Should I put it towards my daughter's college? And so, all of these things, which is probably not different for you, you start to consider, what is it that I want to be doing with this money? And so, there was this bag that I wanted to purchase for myself, and it was a luxury bag. And I told my husband maybe in passing about it, but it was at Neiman Marcus. And my husband is a Target and Home Depot man. Well, now Amazon. Okay. But he would not be caught anywhere near a store like Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus. That is just not how he was brought up. That is not how we live our lives. That is just not what he does. So here we are, and it's Christmas morning. And my husband hands me this box. Now, mind you, he's not a great gift wrapper. So the box, it's lucky because it is wrapped in Christmas paper on Christmas. Sometimes maybe it would have been wrapped with birthday paper. And it kind of looks like it might have gone through a few dryer cycles. Okay. So he hands me this box, and I unwrap it and I open it up. And guess what? It's an Amazon box, right? And it's fairly large. I don't know the size of multiple keyboards. And I'm thinking, what else could this be but another set of Legos, which I'm very excited about because we do this as a family. But instead, what my husband gave me was this bag that I had been agonizing over purchasing that year in my birthday. And that bag cost about $1,250, which is not the amount of money that we spend on one another without asking. And I look at him, and there is just so much joy on him. He is elated that he has surprised me, that he has gifted this to me, that this is now a part of our story and a part of our life. And my daughter, this was about 3 or 4 years ago. She's like 12 years old, and I am crying. I am bawling, and I'm not crying because I got this bag. I'm crying because my husband heard me, because he surprised me. And my kid's like, what the heck is going on here? But it's actually kind of neat because she gets to be a part of this moment, and we explained to her why this was such an important moment. And so this picture that I showed you, that I took on that very day, I take that picture and I send it to my sister because she's really the only one that would understand what something like that means to me, to my relationship. Um, and as I'm marinating in this incredible joy that I have just witnessed in this moment in my relationship with my husband, what I receive back from my sister is this. This is what my husband bought me. And for those of you that may not know what that is, this is a fairly expensive purchase, 4 times more than the bag that I have. And it's a $4,400 gift. And it's something that I would have dreamed about having one day also. But it's not something that I received from my husband. Now, this is my sister's third marriage. She married a trust fund baby, and this is probably a bracelet that she would have gotten the following Tuesday. Whereas for me and my husband, that was really one of the very few moments that we experienced like that. And so, as I'm looking at the picture of the bracelet that she has just received, there's a number of things that are going through my mind. She is in a better marriage than mine. Her husband is more successful than my husband. Her marriage is stronger than mine. And the moment that I began to realize these things, I excuse myself and I go upstairs and I lock myself in the closet and I begin to cry. Because I'm living in this alternate reality of what my life is and isn't, of who she is and who I am not, of who it is that I want to be that she is. and once again that I am not. And I encase myself in these lies that are perpetually being thrown at me because of all the comparison that I am doing in this moment of who she is and who I am not. And it feels a little bit like this. It feels like I am drowning myself in these lies. So as I'm sitting there as a 40-some-year-old woman crying over a gift that someone else has gotten and that I didn't, I begin to realize that what I am seeing and what I am feeling is good, that is being erased, that happened between my husband and I. And that's just being erased before my eyes. And I'm convincing myself that maybe there was never any good to begin with because of everything that she has and I don't. And in those moments, I also begin to realize that I'm creating very real collateral damage in my relationship, in my life, because I am removing everything that my husband has given to me. I'm removing and I'm throwing away this beautiful moment that my husband just gave me. And as strange as it might sound, that was a very defining moment in my life. Now, how do we relate it to dentistry? How do we relate it to this world that we live in? Well, here's an implant that I planned. Looks freaking amazing, could not be more perfect. And at the time I was taking Dr. Resnick's course, and Dr. Resnick says, you know what? Start placing the implant with a guide, which this was, but make that final few drills by hand because I want you to learn a lot about implant dentistry and I want you to learn to solve problems. So when you're placing that implant, the last few drills, I want you to do by hand. And I did. And this is where that implant was placed. Now, is it clinically acceptable? Yes. Is this still going to survive? Yes. Is this patient going to be healthy? Yes. Is this going to be okay? Yes. But comparing the two in that moment, once again, made me feel like a failure because it didn't go exactly to the perfection, to the level that is essentially impossible to attain. Here's another picture of an endo that I did as a general dentist. This is a bicuspid that's split in that apical half, apical third. And I found it and I cleaned it and I finished it. But you see that gap right there? That kept me up for days because it wasn't perfect. Here's a couple of implants that I placed and I restored and cemented. And this kept me up for days. Is this going to be clinically acceptable, successful? Absolutely. But it's just not what I had in mind for myself or my patient. And so I created these lies within dentistry about the kind of clinician that I was because I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was focusing on the minutia. Lie to me. How many times, I'm going to turn this off in a second in case somebody needs to take their anti-seizure medication as a result of this, but there's just so many lies that we surround ourselves with. We tell ourselves lies about who we are physically. And I want you to really pay attention to this photo because we're going to come back to it. We tell ourselves lies about who we are because when we look at ourselves physically and we compare ourselves to other people, we tell ourselves a story about who we are. We can talk to ourselves about who we are relationship-wise. And when I talk about the story with my sister in the bag, relationship is one of the lies that I was telling myself about. My relationship with my husband, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my sister. Intelligence. And it doesn't necessarily mean IQ. It just means how worthy, how smart, how intellectual we think that we are. We create lies about that all day long. And the last one is finances. And finances was another big piece of that first story that I told you about. These are the four basic things that we as human create lies about ourselves. And when we do that, we take away a lot of the joy that exists in our life. And professionally, it's no different. We create lies about who we are when it comes to practice management, our leadership skills, team development, ownership of a practice, associateship of a practice, mentorship, whether we are the mentor or whether we are the mentee, and self-development within dentistry, right? Fellowships, all of that. All of those things are responsible for how we lie to ourselves and inadvertently can potentially remove a lot of the joy in our lives. Because when we lie to ourselves, which comes from comparing ourselves to other people, this is what happens. We are in constant vigilance. We are watching what other people are doing. And when we are doing that, when we are comparing ourselves to others, which is where these lies come from, it is extraordinarily exhausting. The energy that is consumed in this constant vigilance is what is taking us away from the present moment. And in this present moment that we have, my goodness, there is so much joy that can be found. But it is stolen because we are paying attention to what other people are doing and not what is right there in front of us. So, how do we construct these lies? Well, when we see what we want, what we desire, what we dream of in other people, we make up stories about them. And generally speaking, those stories are that they are better than us because they have the things that we dream of. And we don't compare the thing that we want. We don't compare the bracelet versus the bag. We don't compare the cars, right? We compare their entire being. We compare who they are as a person to who we are as a person. And then we use that very information to degrade ourselves and to remove whatever joy we could be finding in this present moment. And look at that picture, right? Social media is such a big part of that, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But there's a picture, there's something that we post about who we are online, or there's something that we see about who someone else is online on social media. The reality could be very different. We could post that top lemon. We could be feeling something very different. And we could be looking at somebody's full lemon. The grass is greener on the other side. But really, how they are and who they are is an entirely different reflection. And that is part of where these lies are feeding. I really like this picture. This must be from the 50s, right? And this is when we're being measured. What are we using as a measuring stick? What we see in others, if that's what we want, we sometimes use that as a measure against ourselves. We use what we see in others, and we use that to judge ourselves pretty unfairly. And most importantly, and most tragically, we use that to diminish our own accomplishment. Now, let's go back hundreds of thousands of years. And let's talk about why we are who we are. Well, back in the day, there were two women, and they acted very, very differently. There was Natalie, and Natalie adored everything about the world. And all she did is she danced around the earth, and she walked around, and she smelled flowers. And she was a very, very pleasant human being. In fact, everybody liked her. And then there was Evelyn. Evelyn was very different. Evelyn walked around the earth, and she walked up to people, and as they were building their tents, she would tell them, yeah, you're doing that wrong. Or rebuild your tent, or otherwise it's going to fall. And Evelyn might have even been an introvert. And Evelyn sat in the bushes, and she just looked around everything. And when the wolves came, or when the lions came, guess who got eaten first? Right? The woman that danced and smelled the flowers, because she could not see. She could not pay attention. She did not compare. She did not look at what other people were doing. And guess who survived? The woman that was constantly picking at what you're doing wrong. The woman that was hiding in the bushes, telling everybody everything that they were doing wrong. The one that was watching and comparing. Evelyn survived and Natalie didn't. And that is what predisposes us towards this incessant need to look at what other people are doing and to compare. It is ingrained in us evolutionarily. And is it possible that there is any good that we can find in the need to compare? And the answer is yes. You can compare, and you can find the good in the comparison of yourself, if you are comparing yourself to the person that you were yesterday, right? You can benefit from the comparison if you can find a way to help others. And these are some of the things that we'll talk to group ups about, and these are some of the things that we'll talk to DHP about. Because there is many people that Paul brings into the Dental Nachos community that help us compare. And as a result of that, we actually benefit. I have worked with group ups in a number of projects, and you know what group ups does? And there might be other companies that do that. They compare. They'll compare prices for you, right? They'll allow you to see the choices that you have when you are choosing equipment. And they will help you make a better choice. And that's how comparison is no longer a lie that you have to work against. That's how comparison in the field of dentistry can allow us to grow. And similarly, with DHP, and you'll see Sandy on here today, you can compare what you're paying for certain things. And it doesn't have to be Sandy, and it doesn't have to be DHP. It could be Henry Schein. It could be Patterson. It could be anybody. You can use comparison in dentistry to your advantage because you were evolutionarily designed to compare. So we can use comparison to our advantage as long as we don't create lies about who we are and destroy ourselves in the process. Perfectionists and high achievers, which there's so many of you on this call that are that, we build lies, and we made these lies the fuel that drove us, right? When you told yourself a lie, when you told yourself that you weren't good enough, that is actually what ended up driving you to attain more. But that is the old way of thinking, and it doesn't have to be the way that we practice or we live our lives today. So the way that my mind works is you got to give me an answer. You got to give me a little something to go with, or my mind's going to turn off and stop paying attention. So here's one of the answers on how you overcome this lie, this ability to lie, this ability to compare yourselves for the wrong reasons and not the right, and not the right for the compare for the wrong reasons and not the right reasons. You have a choice in how you build your future. You have a negative thought. I believed it so deeply, it became real. You have a positive thought. I believed it so deeply, it became real. And the truth is that the choice is yours. Let me show you how that plays out. I do a lot of endo in my practice. It's really a lot of what I do nowadays, and it's a tremendous passion of mine. But guess what? I am human, and there are times that it doesn't go well. And as hard as it is for me to show you this picture, okay, this is an image of the CT scan. The tooth is actually not as destroyed as it looks like that. But what you do see is that I perforated. I messed up. This is the other picture that I showed you of this implant that I destroyed myself over. I have a choice in how I look at my life moving forward. And choice number one is that I made a mistake. I messed up an endo. And the choice that I have to fortify myself with is to look at all the images of the root canals that I have done in that month or over the years and how badass they are. I have a choice in what I believe and in how I lie to myself, or whether or not I even choose to lie to myself about it, right? I have a choice in that. So that is that tidbit of information that I wanted to give you early on in terms of how you overcome the lie. But why are lies so dangerous? Because they're inaccurate, misguided, mistaken, hurtful, damaging. They're incorrect. They're inaccurate. They're blaming. They're vicious. They're dishonorable. They're not factual. And they are wrong. You want to talk about lies? Let's talk about lies. I know this is not hard for you to recognize. What does this woman actually look like? Like this. But we are in constant and perpetual state of spreading lies about who we want people to know us as. Here's another lie. Cindy Crawford, in this time, I am the exact same age. Now, this is a picture that you're seeing of Cindy Crawford that was posted on whatever magazine it was, whether it was Vogue in 2015. And then somebody posted the actual photograph of what Cindy looked like when this photograph was taken. And Cindy did not understand, her and I on first name basis at this point, because that's how much she pisses me off. She could not understand why a bad photo of her could make somebody else feel good. Now I'm going to show you the photo. This is what Cindy looked like in that photo session. And in her brain, she could not understand why that picture could make someone feel better about themselves. She lied. She lied and they lied when they posted that picture. And in that, it created a whole lot of damage in who we have expected ourselves to be. And being the same exact age today that a Cindy is in that photo, guess what, Cindy? I love seeing that picture of you because I do not have an ounce of my body at the age of 49 almost that looks like that. That shit is photoshopped. This is real. This is what real women look like at that age, at my age. And so, but why do we continue spreading these lies? right? We continue spreading these lies because we're afraid of rejection and judgment. And we do have this innate sense of competition. And we're attention hungry. We're human. We want to be seen. And we feel that if we put on social media about, well, Photoshopped, that there will be this need that we will experience some sort of belonging. And if we put a picture of what we actually are, what we actually think, who we actually are, that this is what we're going to experience. Why are lies so dangerous? Well, this is a study that came out of 2004 that presents 36 volunteers, and they were divided into 4 groups. Group 1, of course, was the control group. Group 2 performed physical contractions of their finger. They moved their finger up and down. Okay. Group 3 thought about moving their finger. They didn't move their finger, they only thought about moving their finger. And group 4 thought about moving their elbow. And these participants did this for 12 weeks, 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And what were the results? Group 1, control group, no change. In group 2, when they physically moved their finger, they strengthened their finger by 53%. Not a surprise. But the group of people that only thought about moving their finger, they did not lift their finger. They increased their strength by 35%. And the elbow, possibly because it's a bigger muscle, 13.5%. And this study has been repeated in many different ways with scientists, with athletes, and we know that our mind is incredibly powerful. So why are lies so dangerous? Why is comparison so dangerous? Because the truth is that our mind, our brain does not know the difference between what is real and what is thought. And scientifically, that has been proven many times. What is the ultimate lie? The ultimate lie that you have told yourself, the ultimate lie that I have told myself, is that you are not good enough. And you thought that that lie is the one that was going to drive you and lift you and make you successful. But the truth is that it did the exact opposite. It just kept you down and it robbed you of joy. There's many other lies that you might have told yourself. You thought that if you destroyed yourself in the mirror, that it would develop a thicker skin in you and that it would lead to more resistance. You thought that self-compassion was actually self-pity. You thought, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and I will call myself a fat piece of S. And that'll protect me against when someone else says those words to me. You thought that if you were going to destroy yourself, you were just going to work harder. And you know what? If I feel good and if I look good, it's not gonna last. So why bother looking at myself in the mirror and telling myself that I look good? And then there's the humility part of it, right? If I am humble and if I keep myself down, if I just say that I'm not very successful, someone somewhere down the road is going to be giving me credit for being humble. This is where this part of the presentation gets a little real because you find out a whole lot of things about myself, and I'm going to try to not make it very lengthy, but try to make it fairly impactful. This is who I am. And since this, I have just earned one more fellowship, which I'm going to accept in December. I am a national spokesperson for the Academy of General Dentists. I'm top 250 CE leaders. I'm the co-host of Everyday Dental Practices. I'm a faculty member for Productive Dentist Academy. I have had my work or have been on 4 magazine covers. I'm a wellness columnist, the first ever wellness columnist for the Academy of General Dentists. I have my own column. I was one of the first columnists for Dentistry Today. I have had over 100 publications in dentistry. I'm a Dawson trained dentist. I never stop learning. I'm on my 4th fellowship, have been a practice owner since 2006. I have spoken on large stages, and I'm in the middle of writing my book that will not be self-published, but rather will be published by a publishing house. Right? That's who I am. Now, I like this picture. It's a black and white picture, but what am I hiding? Do you remember at the beginning of the lecture when I told you I've been with my husband for 27 years, but I look like I'm 36? That's not a lie. I don't look 49 years old. This is why. I had plastic surgery done. And I didn't hide it. Now, part of the reason why I had plastic surgery done is because my entire forehead had drooped down and I could no longer see. And it was a necessity. This is what I looked like in October of last year. I look 49. I look 53. I look 57. This is me after that surgery 3 months later. Do you remember that picture that I showed you at the beginning of the lecture and that whole discourse where I got really mad at Cindy Crawford? This is what I look like under my clothes. I might look like I'm all put together and I'm skinny as can be. I've got a ton of loose skin. I cry in my closet because I don't have my life figured out at the age of 49. And I post those pictures because that's part of who I am. But that is not always the part of me that you see advertised. At the age of 10, I stopped the stabbing of my grandmother. I moved to this country at the age of 14, never speaking any English. I suffered from anorexia at the age of 17, and at this height, I was at 69 pounds. I was voluntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital at the age of 21. I've had 2 suicide attempts, cancer at the age of 42, continue to suffer from body dysmorphia. I suffer from complex PTSD, treatment-resistant depression, and suicidal ideation since the age of 10. I am healthy right now. I am happy. I am thrilled. I am happy to be alive. I reside in a community of people that love me and help me laugh. So this discourse is not about how sick I am or how much help I need. This discourse is to show that when you look at a picture of someone else that you want to emulate, that you want to be like, do not forget what lies behind their veil. You are only seeing an image, and do not allow that image to destroy who you think you are. Do not allow what you see in other people to create lies about yourself that will inadvertently rob you of joy and laughter and light. So, what are the answers? This is that 5-step program that I have been promising you from the beginning. We are programmed to compare. How can we help others do that? And that's when we'll have Yasin and Sandy talk about comparing in dentistry, but in an entirely different way than the kind of way that will destroy us. It's going to be a way to save you some money. I want you to remember this. Because when you look in the mirror and you define yourself in that moment, in that mirror, I need you to listen to this. I need you to understand that when you look in the mirror, in that moment, that is just one moment in time. And that is just an interpretation of what you are feeling in this moment and of the reality that you are facing in this moment and today. And whatever lie you are telling yourself in the mirror in that moment, that does not define you. And
Yeah,
you can't.
you have 20 minutes left. You're doing amazing. In the last 20 minutes, realize you have that cool Zoom thing, but some people asked we could shrink yourself down on the Zoom because it covers some of the slides. I don't think. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so bring us home for the last 20 minutes with Shrunken Maggie. That's what I'll call you. Perfect.
Shrunken Maggie. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Thank you. I need you to understand, back to this, when you look into the mirror, that is an interpretation of what you are feeling in that moment. And that feeling can pass, because you have to look at your life and the evidence that you have, and you have to understand, and you have to remember that there have been so many moments of joy. And I want you to remember and anchor to the moments of joy that you've had before in your life. And I so desperately need you to understand that there is hope, that whatever you're seeing in the mirror right now is only a momentary impression of how you're feeling. We've all learned about brain circuits. And so brain circuits are kind of like a merry-go-round. And in that merry-go-round, you just keep going. And when you've taught yourself to believe something, and when you've taught yourself to live in a certain pattern, it becomes difficult, very difficult, to jump off that merry-go-round. Changing brain circuits is very difficult. But in 2006, there was another landmark study that I'm not going to present to you, but it was the first study that showed us that as adults, we can change the brain circuitry. And so the second way that you have in letting go of the lies that you feed yourself, the second way that you have of letting go of the comparison that you are holding yourself back by, is to understand that it can be changed and that you can jump off that merry-go-round. I am not saying it's easy, and I am not saying that this will happen overnight, because if you've lived in this brain circuit for 20 years, it's not going to take 3 months to change that. It will take effort, and it will take time. But it is absolutely 100% possible to get there. The third part of this, one, there's hope because this is a momentary impression. Two, there's a possibility that we can jump off this merry-go-round, right? Because it's a brain circuit, and we understand science to that certain level. And the third is what I call pattern interrupt. The best way for us to interrupt or to jump off that merry-go-round, to imagine, sometimes what I do in my mind is literally imagine an LP. Those old school circular things that the kids nowadays don't listen to anymore. And they would skip, right? And I imagine that if I'm in this brain circuit and I'm feeding myself all this nonsense and information that's bringing me down, I literally imagine myself skipping on to the next song. And that's what pattern interrupt is. So I'll give you an example of what I did. This is my office at home, and I have it set up this certain way. And I'm just so used to walking in there, doing my thing, sitting on my computer. And then one day, and I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this pattern interrupt thing. So what I ended up doing is I ended up moving my desk around. Do you know how many times I hit my hip? Literally, I just walk through there and I would just hit my hip on the desk. I was bruised, right? But what did that do? Every time I hit my hip, I interrupted a pattern that existed in my brain to do this, that, or the other. And that is how simple interrupting a pattern is. Now, you don't have to rearrange your furniture. You can if you want to. But interrupting your pattern in your brain can be as simple as taking your walk in a different direction. It could be taking your dog on a walk in a different direction, and they might actually like that. One of the scientifically proven ways to do that is to stand and walk backwards, wherever you're at the park, whatever it is. Drag your feet backwards. That it teaches your brain a different pattern. If you love a certain orange juice, I know this is hard because I used to eat the same meal for lunch for like 7 years. You change the brand of the orange juice. There's so many ways that we have to try to interrupt the pattern in our brain. And by doing that, we're going to be able to create a change. It will wake us up and it'll allow us to jump off that merry-go-round. Okay? So we've got looking in the mirror, understanding that that is one moment in time. We've got understanding that we have a brain circuit that may be working against us. And we have scientific proof since 2006 that that can be altered and changed. And now we have a very real way of knowing how to interrupt that pattern in simple or maybe even more complex ways. The fourth part of this is whatever belief system you live within. Like for us as dentists, you might find yourself in a place, and I think many of us do. And I think Paul knows this, and that's why he started Dental Nachos, is we live in this reality of, am I good enough? Do I belong here? Is this worth it? How can I keep going? This is too hard. Nobody told me that it was going to be this hard. And that becomes part of your belief system. So what I'm going to try to teach you here is to contradict that belief system. Another way to get out of that brain circuit, another way to look in the mirror and say, this is momentary. How can I contradict this? And specifically in dentistry, we come back to this. I perforate. And it sucks. And it hurts. And I carry this. And did I hurt the patient? Was it the right thing to do? Should I have referred that? All of these things you live within, and they hurt. And they're very, very real. And the younger the dentist you are, the more impactful and the more it destroys you, right? You get a negative review. This is a review that I got in 2017. I never smile, terrible communicator, not the friendliest person, just all of this, I can't say nonsense. This was this person's experience. This person wasn't wrong. I was a really shitty person. I was not happy with life and I acted it. And if this is the constraint at which you're looking at right now in the mirror, how can I help you contradict this? You fill it with the good. You fill it with the letters. For me, when I received the ICOI fellowship, when I received the FAGD, now I've been practicing for a while and I've had my time to do that. And this might not be the way that you are going, but you fill it and you take pictures of the moments in your life that are joyous. Because right now, the current reality that we live in is that if something good happens, you'll have time to celebrate that later. That's not how I want you to live. The way that we rebuild your system, the way that we contradict the belief system, the lies, the comparisons, is that we take snapshots of the micro moments that bring you laughter and joy. And you literally, I don't know where my phone is, I was going to show it to you. You literally take pictures of it with your phone, you heart it. I don't know, that's what my iPhone does. And you look through it. You look through it in the times that you perforate. You force yourself to do it. So somebody leaves you a great review, you don't skim it. You sit your butt down and you read every single solitary word 3 times. You take a picture of that, you put it on your phone, and in the times that you perforate, When you feel like an utter failure, you go back and you reread those. And that's how you contradict your belief system. This really stuck with me. This is a quote by somebody whose name was Eric Hoffer. We lie the loudest when we lie to ourselves. Somebody else can say something about you and it can hurt a lot, actually, depending on who it is. But really, when you look in the mirror, whatever you tell yourself, that's what you're going to believe the most. It's not going to be what somebody else says to you. It's when you carry their words and you return home and you look in the mirror and you repeat them. So the fifth part of this process is a simple understanding of everything and all the science and all this information that I have given you. The truth of life is perception and the belief system that you have designed around yourself to fortify that belief system, that perception. And if you take all the information that you have gathered during the day, and if you look at yourself in the mirror, and if you repeat all the negative, and if you repeat all the lies, and if you spend your time in the comparison, not of the costs of the goods that you're about to buy from your dental supplier or the CT machine, you compare yourself to people, and if you think that they are better than you simply because they have a more expensive bracelet, then that is the life that you're going to be leading. Step one, understand that when you look in the mirror, whatever you're feeling is momentary. Just like everything else in the world. You know, Winston Churchill said, if you're in hell, or if you feel like you're in hell, you just keep going, because eventually you're going to make it out. And I know it's really, really hard. Believe me, I know what I'm saying. I attempted suicide twice. I know what it feels like to have no hope. Understand that what you're feeling is momentary. Understand that there's a break in the brain circuit that you need to create to get yourself out of this belief system. Understand that there is ways that you can interrupt patterns that are both simple, very, very simple, like changing the brand of the orange juice that you're drinking, and more complex. And understand that it takes effort to contradict the belief system in which you are now living if you do not feel like you are your best, if you are feeling like this isn't worth it anymore. It is possible to contradict that belief system. We have to get ready for it. We have to take screenshots of it. We have to take photos of it. We have to like them and love them and put them in our phones so that when we are pushed to the limit in defining ourselves as failures, you can reach for that phone, whatever it is that you have, however you gather this information, and you can review that and refortify this human that you are. And last, come to understand that the person that you believe the most in terms of defining who you are, in terms of living this life as either joyful or painful, it is you. It is you that believes it all. This is a temporary tattoo that I put on myself for many, 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 many days, and eventually I'll probably get it tattooed, but I want to leave you. I want to leave you knowing and understanding and believing and trusting me that you have the power to choose what you believe. You have the power to walk out into the world tomorrow or after this lecture, believing that you were created for greatness, that you are special, that you are worthy of both being loved and loving at the same time. You are created for greatness. And the greatness doesn't have to be another Paul Goodman, because I'm sure Mary thinks that one is enough. The greatness could be holding somebody's hand through pain. It could be offering a smile to someone. It could be working with your patient. It could be working within the purpose of your life. It could be a discovery of who it is that you want to be. Every single one of you, today, yesterday, and forever into the future, has the power of living life joyfully and in light. As long as you understand that life will always be filled with challenges and pain. It will be. Nobody can take that away. That is the true reality of how and why humans were created. But we have the power to each and every single day choose to look at ourselves in the mirror and say the truth of who we are. That we are loving and lovable and special and incredible human beings that were designed to love and for one another and for community. And if you have the desperate, predetermined, evolutionary need to compare, you're going to call Sandy and Yasin or whomever else you work with, and you're going to compare prices of dental equipment and dental supplies. You are not going to use your human nature to compare yourself against anybody else that is standing next to you. Because you were designed to be you, and you were designed to be great. And I don't ever want anybody to take that away from you.
Amazing job, Maggie, as I knew it would be. People are saying so many nice things. We're going to do a couple questions and bring Yasin and Sandy up. Wonderful message, Dr.
I'm going to
Maggie.
stop share. Is that cool with you? And then we'll just...
Well, leave your QR code up if you want. Yasin, okay. I'll bring you up in 1 sec. I want you. We're almost ready for you. And Sandy, perfect. So leave your QR code so people can reach out to you. Powerful closing. Now I'm tearful. In having self-compassion, we'll have compassion towards our patients and our staff. So really, really outstanding, Maggie. The question someone wanted to ask who was inspired is, Dr. Maggie, what steps would you recommend for aspiring dentists who want to follow in your footsteps, building a career that blends clinical practice, writing, and speaking?
Give. It's what you do, Paul.
Thanks.
It's to give. A lot of people think that, we make crazy money doing this. We don't. I mean, some people probably do. I do not get paid to write. And I write because it is my great honor to do that. So if you want to get into writing specifically, reach out to me. I can help you with that. I can show you where to go, and how to do a lot of that. With speaking, start with your local study clubs. That was my first speaking gig. Somebody did not want to speak, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to present a lecture?" And I did. And so, if you want some resources, one of my great mentors was Vanessa Emerson. Dental Speaking Institute used to be called now. She's, I think, now called the Evolving Expert. She can teach you how to do a lot of that. So if you have, but give.
I'm with you on that. That's totally it. It's give, be generous with your knowledge, education, and awesome things will come to you. Support others, celebrate others, invite others. So you've done that for me, and I'm so grateful, Maggie. This was just so powerful. Stay on for just a minute here. Well, we're gonna have a.
I'm
Just
with
a
you
fun,
till the end. I'm going to
yeah,
stop the
perfect.
share.
Yeah, I think I shared on top of you. I had special power but I did it for this because if you would like to get the CE completion code, text code to 215-543-6454. If you have any questions about how the CE works through CE Zoom, you were here the whole time, but you never got the registration link, you didn't get the code link. This has happened before. It's not our first rodeo. I've done 0 real rodeos, but I've done many CE rodeos. So just email ce@dentalnachos.com, and my team will be glad to help you. So I'd like to bring Yasin and Sandy up. Lindsay, I might have to let Sandy restart her video. I don't know if you could help me because Sandy, can you hear us? Let's see. So if Sandy's there, yeah, perfect. So pleased to have this crew on for our post-CE show. Yasin, just take a minute to share with the audience what Group Ups does to help dentists survive, thrive, and cry less inside.
Yeah, hey everybody, and thank you, Maggie. Awesome presentation as always. Really quickly, what we do is we use AI to guide people to the correct products when you're buying large equipment, so that you don't accidentally, unintentionally buy a BMW motorcycle for a lot of money when you should be buying a Toyota Camry because you need a reliable, affordable family car. What you can do as well, since we've talked about comparison quite a bit, go to our website, groupups.com, scroll, either click on the Start Saving Now button or scroll all the way down. If you have a quote, if you're looking for a CBCT or chairs or something like that, click on Rate My Quote, submit your quote. We'll actually compare it to our entire database and tell you if you're getting a good quote or not. And then one of the things that I think people love the most, and I think what got Maggie wanting to get involved with us, is the AI that we built. It's intended to guide you, again, in a brand neutral way to the products that you should be buying without a salesperson at all. You basically engage with the AI. The AI references our product database and says, hey, it sounds like this is what you're asking for. And then the way that we make money is we actually get you really good pricing on it because we do a ton of volume at this point. And then we get paid based on how much we save you. So we're aligned with you. That's
awesome.
Us. Did I hit a minute?
You did it great. Yeah, did great. I'm going to still keep chatting with you. Sandy, give it perfect. And you can text Group Up to 215-543-6454 to learn more about them. Sandy, how about you and what you do?
Good evening. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Maggie, for the awesome webinar. As always, not only do we work together, we've become very good friends over the years, just being able to work together and grow our relationship. So that's one of my biggest things with DHP. We are a full-service, family-owned dental distributor. So we compete with the big guys with price and also all supplies, equipment, technology, and everything. We do have all of it, but we are a family-owned company, which is the biggest difference to where we don't have to answer to the stock market or any other things. So we just work with you because we are a small business as well, and we care about you. But most of all, we are big on relationships, as Maggie can speak on my behalf with that.
I love that. Maggie, also, some people are asking some questions in the Q&A about retired dentists. You're welcome to answer those when you're typing into that. So Yasin and Sandy, kind of share with us for a minute, for the people who are still watching in, why do people like you, sponsors and vendors, how can you really be an advisor, an asset to a practice? In dental school, we're not taught at all about how to work with vendors, suppliers. Oftentimes we're thinking they're going to rip us off, they're going to try to oversell me. But as we age in this dental world, realize that we need the Yasins, the Sandys, and I know when Maggie's done typing, she can kind of chime in. Why should dentists look to you as advisors? What could you do for them in their practice? Whether it's connect them to people that you know, whether it's to refer them new patients, whether it's to explain how something works. I'll let you go first, Yasin. Why should a dentist look at what Group Ups does as not just someone to get a $10,000 discount on a CBCT, but more than that?
Yeah. So when we built this platform, the way that we built it was, the problem that we saw in the industry was you don't know who to trust. You don't know if people are selling you things based on commission, if the price that you're getting is fair. I had no idea about the dental industry. The way that we got into it was I went in for a root canal, and I had just sold my last company. It was in the sports tech space. Some of you might actually know my last company if you played fantasy sports or if you were in that world at all. But after I sold it, I was like, okay, I'm going to finally build the business that I wish my dad had when I was growing up. We, come from a small business background. And what I did was I wanted to build a platform that got him discounts, got small businesses discounts on services, on tech, on things like that. And then I went in for this root canal. And my endo, he's now one of our investors. That's how much he loves what we do. He goes, what are you doing now? And I told him, and he goes, wow, we really need that in dental. He walks me over to what I didn't even know what a CBCT was. He walks me over to what I now know is a CBCT. And he goes, it took me 3 months to negotiate this down $12,000. I go, awesome. That's great. He goes, no, you don't understand. I don't have 3 months. This is my second office. I have people calling out from the front desk. Like I don't have the brain space to think about that. I wish somebody else could have done it. And the other thing is, I really don't know if the $12,000 is real. I have no idea what this thing is supposed to cost. So we built this to give transparency in pricing, which is, by the way, why we love working with Sandy and DHP. We actually wanted to co-sponsor together because we work a lot together. We like pricing transparency. We like bringing valuable information in a brand neutral way, since we don't sell anything, and enable you to make decisions that you would be making if you had all the knowledge base. So we like to empower our customers.
Love that. And you're answering for Sandy. Yeah, I wanted Maggie to jump. Sandy, if you come back, great. Oh yeah, coming back. Maggie, what did you want to add?
So, Yasin and I met at a dental Nachos.
ABC, always be connecting of dental
Always be
Nachos,
connecting, right? And so he was like walking out, and I'm like, man, I really need a CBCT machine, but I just don't think I can afford it. And so one of the things that I've experienced as a female practice owner is that I did not know how to do many things, and I did not know how to negotiate. I didn't know negotiating was an option. And there was a time in my life where I had the worst landlord who completely took advantage of me because I was this, 30-something woman. And when I met Yasin, I saw that as an opportunity of like, you know what? I don't belong to a DSO. Wherever I go, I'm going to be quoted the highest price. I don't know how to speak to these people. I don't know what I want. Yeah. I don't understand any of this technology. This guy's going to save me. This guy's going to help me. This is a road that I need to travel down. And so he and I connected, and I wasn't entirely sold on a CBCT because I wasn't quite using implants. I wasn't doing endo to this level, but he showed me how to figure out what I needed, why I needed it, this with his AI. But then more than that, the price negotiation was extraordinary. Like, so Yasin helped me purchase a Trios 5 in December. And then I went to a Resnick seminar, and they're selling Trios machines. And they're like, well, how much? Or they're selling something else. And they're like, well, how much is a Trios? And then I kind of blurted out what I paid for my Trios. They're like, no, you didn't. There's no way anybody would sell you a Trios for that much. And I'm like, no, I did. And this is who I work with. So for me, it has actually removed a lot of calls. It cuts down the process.
It saves, and also, Maggie, I'm just interjecting. I tell Mary she missed your joke that there was one of me is enough of me, but I'll tell it to her because she's sitting here on the couch. What I think associates don't know and dental students don't know, and I didn't know, is like, you don't have the time, even if you had the skill, to do this on your own, because you are running around running your dental circus where the animals don't try to eat you, just slowly annoy you to death. And there's no time, and the people aren't available at 8:30, even if you wanted to say, hey, let's hassle about our CBCT. And Sandy, I want to ask you, in the supply world, similar type of message, or, you're an asset to your clients, just if your associate is saying, I can order all my supplies on blah, blah, blah website. I don't need to know anybody. I don't need to talk to anybody. Everything's online in the dental world. knowing the people who are helping you cry less inside is so important. So kind of any comments from you on that?
Yes, absolutely. So over the years I was a hygienist prior to going into sales. So I worked with a lot of the salespeople and learned a lot from them. And I've taken that into my role here. I work with multiple offices all day long. I go into hundreds of offices every month and I see what's working, what's not working. And so when I'm going in and having conversations with my doctors, they're asking me questions like, oh, is everybody slow or what's going on? So being a resource of being in multiple practices, whether it's your mom and pop shop or a bigger group practice, seeing things that work, see things that don't work, just being able to give advice off of that is a huge asset, I believe. At least a lot of my doctors are saying so. And then also, I value a lot with supplies. So I work with a lot of my manufacturers. I learn a ton about every product and go to my offices with suggestions on what might make their job easier or
Right.
solve a lot of their problems.
What I shared is just very nice. When I first started Nachos, I don't know if I told Maggie this. His name was Jamie Amos. He's since not part of Ideal Practices. He goes, I love coming to your events. I always learn that a thing is a thing that I didn't know was a thing before I came to your events. And I thought that was a great way, and that your supply and your equipment and everyone in your life, as I can tell you about things you didn't know were a thing.
Yep.
So those things can help you. Well, you guys have been awesome. I want to share. So appreciate you supporting Maggie. If someone wanted to reach out to you directly, Sandy, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. They can call my cell phone at 269-400-1933, or they can email me at Sandy with a Y .jones@dhpsupply.com.
Awesome. You can drop that in the chat. Really appreciate your support. Yes, and if someone wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do so?
So the thing that most people go through that helps us help you fastest is go to groupups.com, click start saving, and go to the wish list. Go through the dental thing, fill out the wish list. That gets you right in with my team for immediate quote reviews, things like that, and give you access to the AI.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being supporters here. Maggie, thanks for this night. It was really great. You know, you've transformed lives, help people feel less alone, which is a big part of the Dental Nachos mission. Learn, laugh, and feel less alone. So grateful. You guys are my friends and supporters. And I'll kind of turn this off for now, but hope to high five all of you in person soon. I saw you two not too long ago, so I need to high five Maggie soon. Let me know where you'll be next, Maggie.
Just a quick shout out for Sandy. One of the things that I love about Sandy is, as a control freak, which I know dentists don't understand that, right? I let my team handle and order anything now because I know that Sandy will get the lowest price on the supplies. I'm like, if you need something, just call Sandy. She's going to hook you up. And so that has also, it's one of those things, it just removes another thing off the platter. And with you, Paul, it's always the same thing. It's about relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
And those two define really where dentistry needs to be going. It's not like, you bought this piece of equipment, I don't need your money anymore, you're nothing to me. They stand by your side, they answer your calls, they're there within an arm's reach. And when you make decisions in dentistry, we choose where dentistry is going. And so when you align yourselves with companies that don't return your calls, that's where our industry is going to go. When you have a choice to align yourself with people that respect you and they stand by you, whose relationship is important to you, that's how we have a chance of rebuilding dentistry.
Right. I'm so with you. We need to return to this. I always say, keep looking for CR, not centric relation, Maggie. That's made up, but cool relationships, CR. So thanks to my Nacho team who was on here supporting us on an evening. And thanks to all of you guys for watching and truly appreciate it. Everyone have an awesome rest of the evening.
Take care,
See you
everybody.
guys.
Thanks again.
Awesome job.
Thank you.